The peripheral nervous system includes all neural structures outside the brain, and spinal cord, such as sensory receptors, peripheral nerves, associated ganglia, and efferent motor endings. Sensory receptors are specialized to respond to changes in the environment, which are called stimuli. Typically, activation of a sensory receptor by an adequate stimulus results in graded potentials that, in turn, trigger nerve impulses along the afferent peripheral nervous system fibers to the central nervous system. The receptors can be classified by the type of stimulus they detect. The receptor classes are named according to the activating stimulus. Mechanoreceptors respond to mechanical forces such as touch, pressure, vibration, and stretch. Thermoreceptors are sensitive to temperature changes. Photoreceptors, such as those in the retina of the eye, respond to light energy. Chemoreceptors respond to chemicals in solution. Nociceptors respond to potentially damaging stimuli that result in pain. The receptors can also be classified according to their location, or the location of the activating stimulus. Exteroceptors are sensitive to stimuli arising outside the body, so most exteroceptors are near, or at the surface of the body. Interoceptors, also called visceral receptors, respond to stimuli within the body, such as from the internal viscera and blood vessels. They monitor a variety of stimuli, including chemical changes, tissue stretch, and temperature. Proprioceptors, like interoceptors, respond to internal stimuli. However, their location is much more restricted. Proprioceptors occur in skeletal muscles, tendons, joints, and ligaments, and in connective tissue coverings of bones and muscles. The receptors can also be classified by their structural complexity. On the basis of overall receptor structure, there are simple and complex receptors, but the overwhelming majority are simple. Simple receptors are modified dendritic endings of sensory neurons. They can be in the form of encapsulated dendritic endings and free nerve endings. They are found throughout the body and monitor most types of general sensory information. Complex receptors are localized collections of cells associated with the special senses. A nerve is a cord-like organ that is part of the peripheral nervous system. Nerves vary in size, but every nerve consists of parallel bundles of peripheral axons enclosed by successive wrappings of connective tissue. Nerves are classified according to the direction in which they transmit impulses. Nerves containing both sensory and motor fibers, and transmitting impulses both to and from the central nervous system are called mixed nerves. Those that carry impulses only toward the central nervous system are sensory, or afferent nerves, and those carrying impulses only away from the central nervous system are motor, or efferent nerves. Most nerves are mixed, pure sensory, or motor nerves are rare. The peripheral nerves are classified as cranial, or spinal, depending on whether they arise from the brain, or the spinal cord. 12 pairs of cranial nerves are associated with the brain. The first 2 pairs attach to the forebrain, and the rest are associated with the brainstem. Other than the vagus nerve, which extends into the abdomen, cranial nerves serve only head and neck structures. 31 pairs of spinal nerves, each containing thousands of nerve fibers, arise from the spinal cord and supply all parts of the body. Except for the head and some areas of the neck, all are mixed nerves. These nerves are named according to their point of issue from the spinal cord. There are 8 pairs of cervical spinal nerves, C1 to C8, 12 pairs of thoracic nerves, T1 to T12, 5 pairs of lumbar nerves, L1 to L5, 5 pairs of sacral nerves, S1 to S5, and 1 pair of tiny coccygeal nerves, CO1. Notice that there are 8 pairs of cervical nerves, but only 7 cervical vertebrae. The first 7 pairs exit the vertebral canal superior to the vertebrae for which they are named, but C8 emerges inferior to the 7th cervical vertebra. Each spinal nerve connects to the spinal cord by a dorsal root and a ventral root. Each root forms from a series of rootlets that attach along the length of the corresponding spinal cord segment. The ventral roots contain motor, or efferent fibers that arise from ventral horn motor neurons and extend to and innervate the skeletal muscles. Dorsal roots contain sensory, or afferent fibers that arise from sensory neurons in the dorsal root ganglia and conduct impulses from peripheral receptors to the spinal cord. The spinal nerve rami and their main branches supply the entire somatic region of the body from the neck down. The dorsal rami supply the posterior body trunk. The thicker ventral rami supply the rest of the trunk and the limbs. Except for T2 to T12, all ventral rami branch and join one another lateral to the vertebral column, forming complicated interlacing nerve networks called nerve plexuses. Nerve plexuses occur in the cervical, brachial, lumbar, and sacral regions, and primarily serve the limbs. The terminals of somatic motor fibers that innervate voluntary muscles form elaborate neuromuscular junctions with their effector cells. Many of the body's control systems belong to a general category known as reflexes, which can be either inborn or learned. Reflexes are classified functionally as somatic reflexes if they activate skeletal muscle, or as autonomic reflexes if they activate visceral effectors. Somatic reflexes mediated by the spinal cord are called spinal reflexes. Many spinal reflexes occur without the direct involvement of higher brain centers. However, the brain is advised of most spinal reflex activity and can facilitate, inhibit, or adapt depending on the circumstances. If you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel to see more videos in future. Thank you for watching. Bye.